Hey everyone, just quick announcement before I share today's episode with Marcus Cook. You're going to love Marcus's story. He's awesome. But just want to take a minute to share the release of my first children's book of my Healthy Children's Book series called Maddox's Trip to the Chiropractor. It's a cute book with bright pictures that follows a toddler on her trip to the chiropractor. It shows her excitement and how she knows that it impacts her health in a positive way. And for each purchase of the book, it will be supporting a project that I started called the Unlock Wellness Project. For each purchase of the book, we will be donating a wellness bag to a child in need. These wellness bags will include non-toxic, chemical-free essentials such as soap, shampoo, toothpaste, a toothbrush, items that a lot of the time children in tough situations don't have access to. We're also going to be shipping wellness bags to flood victims in Houston, Texas, and reaching out to victims of Hurricane Irma as well. You can learn more about the book and about the Unlock Wellness Project by going to drkaseyjohnson.com. That's DRKASEY Johnson.com. Click on the Shop tab. Then click the Children's Book option. You'll be able to read a short description and even watch a short video with more information. You can also purchase the book directly on Amazon.com by searching Maddox's Trip to the Chiropractor. But I hope you guys loved the book. Be sure to check out my website to learn more. And thank you so much for the support. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Marcus Cook. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness Podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Marcus Cook, and Marcus has had an incredible journey. He was morbidly obese, weighing in at almost 500 pounds, and has completely flipped his health around, losing over 260 pounds. He's now a plant-based athlete who has even completed an Ironman, and I'm just so excited for him to get to share his story with you guys and just some valuable information that will really help you on your journey as well. So, Marcus, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to have you.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. It's always an honor to share my story. People, I was doing some stuff earlier this week with some media up in Indianapolis. This is my 2-year anniversary from me deciding that I needed to have weight loss surgery. And when I went in for weight loss surgery, I was roughly right at 489 pounds at my highest weight. And I had surgery, Dr. Garth Davis, which I was so lucky to have found him, performed my surgery. So this was my 2-year anniversary. Well, Houston flooded, with Hurricane Harvey coming in around a month ago. So all my running spots were totally, just not normal. One way I would run would be, just look like a bomb went off. Neighborhoods were just destroyed with, everything at the curb and the muck and the smell and the just everything to do with the bad flood was one way. And then down where I run along the bayou into downtown Houston, the same track that I ran last year was totally underwater. So I actually went to Indianapolis, flew up there and ran a half marathon in celebration because I told myself that the new Marcus would every anniversary would run a half marathon.
That's awesome.
Just because you
can, right?
And yeah. So I went up there and I was doing this media. Whenever I go into anywhere, I always try to reach out to all the news stations and just tell them my story. And so the question kind of came up like, well, why do you always do that? And I was able to tell that outlet, it was a Fox affiliate. I was like, I do it because there's someone listening that is in the same predicament that I was in. I thought at 500 pounds that it was over, that I never would be able to do the things that I had dreamed about doing. I dreamed as a young person that I'd run the Chevron Marathon. And, last year I did that. And then I dreamed of climbing a 14,000 foot mountain. Well, like a month and a half ago, I climbed 2,
Awesome.
And then, getting into all the goals that I've done, I've done back-to-back marathons. I've done multiple half marathons. I've done I've done a half Ironman, and then 3 weeks later I did a full
That's
Ironman.
cool. Hey, Marcus, will you go
Yes.
into like the distances for an Ironman? Because I just want people to understand like how
Yeah.
crazy
So,
of an event that is.
yeah. So, whenever I lost when I started losing the weight, I had a mental coach, which, if anybody wanted to know about me, there's podcasts that you can go. It has detail of all my beginning of my story and where I came from, and you can easily look that up. Just Google it, and a podcast will come up. That Plant Yourself, I believe, even has a podcast up that just really goes into like full detail of where I come from. But the triathlon, whenever I chose it, I had a trainer that had done a half Ironman, and he was a weight loss patient, and he had lost a lot of weight, and he had done a half Ironman. So I was like, yeah, I want to do that. Well, whenever I said that, my mental coach, and I preach in when I say preach, I tell people, hey, this is how I've done it. You got to get a goal, and then you got to get a team, and then you got to do the work, and then you got to move the goal once you know it's attainable, right? So that's kind of my little process that I tell people. So my initial goal was to do a triathlon, a sprint. So a sprint triathlon is pretty much the smallest notable triathlon that you can do. It's where you swim around 500 to 600 yards, and then you're going to ride a bike about 18 miles, and then you're going to run 3 miles. It's basically a 5K. You're going to run a 5K at the end. And then an Olympic triathlon is where you're going to swim about 900 to 1,000 yards, depending on, and now all these distances are just a little bit different according to where the races are at. But it's about 1,000 yards, 900 yard swim, and then you're going to ride a bike for about 28 miles, and then you're going to run a 10K, 6.2, and then a half Ironman is where you're going to run. You're going to swim 1.2 miles, and then you're going to ride your bike 56 miles, and then you're going to run a half marathon, 13.1. And then a full Ironman, you're going to do double those distances. You're going to swim 2.4 miles, and then you're going to ride a bike for 112 miles, and then you're going to run a full marathon at 26.2.
That's crazy.
And so, yeah, it's a full day for me. Whenever I was kind of ramping up those goals, because every time I would do a distance, I would go, well, what's the next distance? So I did a super sprint, which is like a practice for a sprint. Well, that's really like swim 200 yards. You're going to ride your bike for 8. You're going to run for 2. That's a super sprint. And really that kind of race is a great entry race for anybody, because it'll teach you about how a triathlon works when you get up to, an 800 person race or 1,000 person race where there's a lot of people and everybody's running around and you don't want to get run over. Well, you do a super sprint, and most towns that are big are going to have that option for the beginning of the season for people to kind of just dust the bike out, make sure that, that everybody, you kind of get your transitions built, because you have to go from swimming, then you have to go to bike, and then you have to go to running. So you have all these, you got 2 transitions that you got to kind of work on and make sure you know what you're doing, So that's what I did. So whenever I started doing those, I started ramping up, and I got to that Olympic, and I was thinking, man, my next one's a half Ironman. I'm going to do it, So I announced that I was going to do the half Ironman.
Right.
Well, I started training for the half Ironman, and it was like, you know what? I'm going to be so close to being able to do a full. I wonder if I could do it, And I had a lot of skin on my belly area, just from the weight loss, because I was losing so much weight. And I said, you know what? I want to do. I want to the kind of the talk amongst some of my team of people, because you got to build a team, you got to get a goal, you got to get a team of people that's going to help you.
Right, get that community. Yep.
Yeah. So those guys were all saying, hey, maybe we should wait for you to get your skin off before you do the full, because we want you to finish. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm going to prove to the guy out there that he can do it without the skin getting taken off. I want it, so I started, during that time, I can remember that I just started searching for someone that had done it, and you can find people. There's great stories out there. Leo, the Ironman, and then he didn't achieve the Ironman the first year. The second year he came back, and you can find those stories all over, about big people that's lost a lot of weight, but you can't find the story where a guy was 500 pounds in a year and a half for being that weight did an Ironman. You couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And so I was just Googling trying to find that guy, and he may be out there. I've just never found him. But I found that as a goal that I wanted to do to pave the way for the next guy to go, because, Josh Lajani is a super inspirational guy to me. Total plant-based athlete, has lost all of his weight, the good old fashioned way of just changing who you are, using some of the same principles that I use, but he did it totally over a period of time. Well, he's paving the way right now. He's trying, his goal would be to qualify for Boston.
Yeah.
Well, I want him to achieve that goal so I can know it's possible that it can happen. So whenever I was searching and I wanted to do the Ironman, I wanted to do it to prove to the guy that's sitting there that wanted to do it also and know that he could do it and beat me. I want that person to know that he can do it, so that was really the reason why, I pushed so hard to do it, was just to come across the finish line, a year and a half or, right over being 500 pounds,
right,
and just prove to the person that nothing is unattainable without just that mindset of change and making those small changes.
Right. Yeah. And Marcus, and I think we're talking a little bit about this before we started, and whenever you have that kind of surgery, there's obviously right and wrong ways to handle that afterwards, and you've been handling it so well, and actually making the lifestyle changes post surgery, so it's going to be a lifestyle change. I mean, some people that have the surgery and they don't make any changes, and then they're like, well, I mean, I could never do an Ironman, and I love that you are paving the way to show that, if you have this surgery, and you're starting to make those healthy changes, like, anything is possible still. It's just that day in, day out consistency and having that mindset like you were talking about.
Yeah, it's almost to the fact that if I can, when I talk to people for motivation and for, people, and I will, take a PM and get a phone, private message and take a phone number, and I'll talk to people. And when I do, I can tell really quick in the conversation of how serious that person is. If they've really taken that cue of their inner self to make that change. And then if I feel they have, I can talk to them one way. And if I feel like they haven't, I just push them to say, look, you have to decide what you want to do, because the doc says something. Dr. Davis says something a lot. He says, if you do what you've always done, you get what you always got. And so, like, I'm people that have the weight loss surgery, and then they just keep doing the same kind of eating patterns that they've always done, but just a lesser of an intake. I just kind of shake my head, because I was one of those people. I was actually one of those people. And actually, when I did my final, when I did my first year goal of doing an Olympic triathlon, the doc was doing an interview, and I was like, man, really, doc? Is that really something that's true about the protein? And he's like, you haven't read my book? And I went, no. So all the way home from Miami, I've read Proteinaholics. And then, then I watched, a few great shows, Forks Over Knives, and recently just What the Health. And, and then I've watched them all pretty much since then. But,
right.
There's a lifestyle change, and there's a cut dry mentality. And you know what? Cut dry mentality, people, they blow me away. Some of the people that have just went, cold turkey, I'm doing it, and they do it, and they succeed. But with my personality and with everything I've struggled with, and then with everything that you have to deal with being a gastric bypass patient, it's been steps, and I've had a lot of a very, very intimate conversations about the subject with Dr. Davis, because I want to be a patient that follows what he preaches, like a religion, because I really believe what he's saying is true. But with the challenges that a gastric bypass patient has, you've got to do you, and you have to strive for health. And to me seeking health is definitely finding me. So I find myself, leaning every day more and more, plant-based. I can remember looking at my wife and saying, how are we going to do this? We've been born and raised in Texas, and this is against everything we've ever done. And we've done it. It's been a step by step process, but it's been a progression of movement that's kept moving us up to having 100% better eating lifestyle than what we've had in the past.
Yeah.
And it's been the steps of the simple thing of just like taking the step for walking 20 minutes a day. That's where I started 2 years ago. I mean, if we can say that one more time, I started walking 20 minutes a day, pretty much, 2 weeks from right now, I started walking 20 minutes a day. So 2 years later, you look at the accomplishments that I've achieved, and if you would have told me that, Marcus, look, for you to lose, it's close to about 275 pounds right now.
That's awesome.
If you were to lose that much weight, this is what you've got to do. And you laid down the statistics for me, I would have walked away and just been ticked off that we even had a conversation, because It would be like me running from here to Orlando, Florida.
That's where I live, so you can just come see me.
Yeah, there you go. It would have been me riding my bike from here to Juneau, Alaska.
Man,
it'd have been me swimming from 80 miles. That's a lot of work. That if you take that and you go, oh, this is overwhelming, I can't do it. Whenever I'm speaking at schools, I go, hey, fifth graders, what would you think if I just packed all of the schoolwork that was all the homework and put it on your desk the first day of school and said, you got to do this to graduate and go to the sixth grade? And they all like, oh, we would call our mom. And well, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what you do. But you know what? I started walking 20 minutes a day, and anyone can do that. Mm-hmm. Anyone listening can do that. And then you just keep progressing. As you become an athlete, there become terms that you learn about. One of them is a base. You know what your base is, right, for being an athlete. So your base miles is where you kind of gauge on what your long runs would be for the week whenever you're doing a long endurance run. Well, whenever you get a strong base, you can walk out and do things, right? You can walk out the door and knock out 18 miles because your base is there. Well, a person that's out of shape, their base isn't there. They don't have a base. But the way you get a base is you start doing small incremental workouts, and then you keep just building on that and building on it. And so you can take that same aspect of change and move it to anything in your life. There may be someone listening that isn't isn't 500 pounds. They're not even $150. But you know what? They may have a problem with their marriage. They may have a problem with an addiction. They may have a problem with the kid. I mean, Lord knows we all go through that, and or a parent or a boss, or so you may have a problem with your work, okay, and you're like, oh, my job's horrible. Well, you know what? If you take that job and you apply the simple techniques of how I lost 280 pounds, approximately, once you apply. Get a goal, you get a team, you set an outcome of what you want to happen, and then once you achieve it, you move it, and you keep doing that over and over again, and it increases your base to where all of a sudden now, you know what? Now I don't have a problem with my job. And now, because I don't have a problem with job, I'm happier at the house, and me and the wife are getting along, and I'm not snappy at the kids. And I got time to go run, and my health is getting better. Oh, and as your health's getting better, you're starting to wonder, hey, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't eat a burger. Maybe I should eat a salad. And then now your blood works are getting, and then the gains that you're gaining are not only happiness and love and all the things that go along with make us up humans, but the gains you're getting are years to your life that make you here on this earth longer, so you can do things, so you can be a part of this human life that we live, that we're all consumed about, where we're, what nation we're from, and we forget that we're from the planet Earth. We're all here together. Yep. We're just segregated by borders and regions, and you know what? We got to make a difference from where we're at.
Absolutely. I mean, no, I love that, and it really does have a domino effect on everything involved in your life. I mean, how you view your family, just your outlook on life in general, just everyday actions. And, I'm sure that you can kind of attest to that. Just, I mean, if you would look back, a few years ago, looking into the future, I mean, you would never expect this for yourself. I mean, the level of happiness that you've gained, and I'm sure everything in your life is just so much better, right?
Yeah, whenever I was 500 pounds, I thought it was all my decision. I thought the only person I'm hurting is me and my wife when she has to bury me and my kids, when they have to look down at their dad at a casket and decide, who was going to get his camera. You know what I'm saying? But the thing I didn't know is that my son, my little 14-year-old at the time, needed to lose 80 pounds. Didn't know it. Had no clue he was overweight. And now he's toe to toe with me on every run. He's faster than me. He's done his first marathon at 15 years old. So I changed the DNA of my family forever.
Yep.
Because
how they raise their kids. Yeah, absolutely.
How they raise their kids, their goals, what they do from here on out. My oldest son right now is training to do Texas Ironman with me next year. So
that's really cool.
My 18-year-old will be on the course with me at Texas Ironman. He's doing a half Ironman in another month. So it ain't like, you go look at my pictures. Go Google Marcus Cook extreme weight loss and just look at the before and after. And there's no one listening to me. There's no one listening to me that don't have a second chance, that don't have a third chance, that don't have a fourth chance. All that's separating you from change is you decide you want to change. The simple change of, instead of waiting for the front row parking spot at a store and you circling, go to the back of the parking lot, walk. Instead of taking a kid with you so you don't got to get out of the store because you're tired and your feet hurt. Don't take a kid with you, walk. And when you see the stairs and you take the escalator, don't take the escalator, take the stairs. If you don't want to walk up the stairs, take them down.
Right.
It all starts with small little changes. You've got to realize, less than 2 years ago, I started walking 20 minutes a day.
Yep.
And I've done some pretty cool things. I just did a 2:27 half marathon to celebrate my 2-year anniversary. Last year, I was running a 15:40 minute mile 1 year ago. 15:40 on the same week. I ran a 15:40 this week. I ran 11:11.
That's awesome. So only even better things to come. I mean, who can imagine, what next year is going to look like for you? I mean, it's just so amazing to hear the progression, and just, it's just how many people you're going to inspire.
Yeah. You talk about the domino effect, and people say, well, if I don't change, it's only about me. Remember the whole mentality that you have whenever you're big, and, all the little big tricks that you do, where you got to take your shoe off to tie it. You walk through the grass to sit around the concrete. You all the little, the big person tricks is what I call them. I actually call them fat person tricks, because I was that guy. I knew every shortcut to do everything easy. But you talk about the domino effect, and you talk about, hey, I'm only hurting myself. Let me just tell you this. When the hurricane came in, And I was normally, when hurricanes would come in, I'd be normally the guy glued to the TV, watching the news, not able to do anything.
Yeah, because I mean that's all you were physically able to do, and even your mindset, Marcus. You didn't have a mindset of I can do something.
Yeah, I would help fund something. You know what I'm saying? I own my own supply company, so I'd make sure that my neighbors had batteries, and if someone needed a generator, I'd help someone out in that level of capacity, and that'd be my contribution to society, would be something like that. But here we are. The hurricanes came in. I put a simple request on Facebook. This is, hey, I'd like to get a kayak so I could go help my neighbors, because we were about a mile away from a really bad area. And so immediately within 2 or 3 hours, I had 3 kayaks, right? So coming back, we go that night, and we get put in a situation where we're rescuing some people out of a low-end housing area, and, just helping people. And the next morning, I get another call, and we found a John boat with a motor. So now we go into a neighborhood that I run through, and we're just rescuing people. And that's the day that we rescued 100 people. Well, all that's really great, and the capabilities that, I have story after story of that deal of just, people that we, really saved. If I hadn't been there, one lady could have died. And, those are awesome stories. But here's the story of change. The story of change is, had I not changed who I was and became an Ironman, I wouldn't have this little following that I have, and I wouldn't have met a man online that can feed people. So I get a private message, Marcus. I live in Lacombe, Louisiana. I can feed 1,000 people. Red Cross is doing a good job, I'm sure, somewhere, and there's other groups that are probably feeding people. But we can go into any area that you want to go into, because I want to do something with you, because I've been following you. And I know you're a guy who wants to do something for your community. So me and him and my daughter and my nephew and another Dee Dee, another triathlete that's in the group here, and I reach out to our local race community, and we put it out. Well, we just show up in a parking lot over where there's a flooded neighborhood that they just getting back in, and they were just getting back in, and we cooked. And we ran out of food within 50 minutes of cooking for this neighborhood, right? Because we're just giving and I personally probably gave away 300 meals and hand delivered them to houses and people working in their houses, and the tear-filled eyes from the homeowners and all the things that we dealt with were just amazing. Well, this week I'm going back this Thursday to do the same thing. So the next week we're doing the same thing on Thursday. So you're talking about in 3 weeks' time, 3,000, 4,000 people are going to be fed, all because of a domino effect of changing your health that you never would have imagined would have happened back whenever I was 500 pounds, or when I didn't need to change, or when I thought I was just hurting me. Had I not made the decision, I mean, who knows what have happened?
Right.
I mean, and so if you do what you always have done, you're going to continue to reap the same things over and over and over and over
absolutely.
again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's incredible. And I love that you were able to help so many people. I mean, it's just, you don't know. I mean, you really just don't know how far reaching something that you do can impact just so many families. And you just don't know. And I think that's incredible that you have the capability now to really reach out and make an even more positive impact, especially on your community. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's been an incredible journey. And my biggest push is I want to pave the way so someone can come along behind me and blow it out of the water and prove to the next guy that it can only get better. It can only get better. The obstacles can be a bigger hurdle can be jumped, and that's what I want. I mean, I just want to inspire the person that's battling. I got a lot of people that are battling through their journey right now. I get PM'd all the time. Hey, I'm inspired from you, and I'm doing this, and man, just think about me. And I just want to let you know, and they ask me advice. I give them advice.
Mm-hmm.
I just want those guys to keep going. And if they're listening and you want to change, just start changing. Start changing. Get a goal of something you can't do today, you can't do tomorrow, that you can only do a year from now. Whatever that is, whatever floats your boat. If it's fitting in a dress, then let's pull a dress out and let's try to fit in it in a year. If it's climbing, doing the Appalachian Trail, let's go do the Appalachian Trail. If it's climbing a mountain, let's say we're going to go climb a mountain. If it's running, but don't, I talk with guys all the time. Like, I'm going to run a 5K. I'm like, dude, you can walk a 5K.
Right.
Let's not
like something out of your, get something out of your comfort zone that you have to, that kind of scares you a little bit, because if it, if it scares you and excites you, then that's a good sign.
I run 10Ks every day almost. So running a 5K is not a year goal.
Mm-hmm.
Running a 10K, possibly, if depending on the person, could be a 10-year. But they got to examine where they're at and what they want to do. I met a guy the other day, and his goal was just to fit in a ride at Disney World with his kids.
Yep.
So hey, that's what we're doing. We're working on that goal, and that's a real hard goal to achieve, you got to get out there and do the work. You got to get uncomfortable. You got to get your heart rate up. You got to exercise. You got to get your heart rate to, get it to zone 3, and learn what that is. You know what I'm saying? Because when I started, I didn't know what any of that was. I was like, hey, I just got to go. If I'm out of breath, I can't talk. Okay, well that's a good sign. Don't pass out.
Right. Just don't pass out. Number one piece of advice, right?
get a doctor. Get a doctor. Make sure you're okay to exercise, and just go. Just start doing something. My mom is, she's an older lady, and she's trying, and she'll get out and she'll try to walk 1.5 miles a day. That's her goal.
That's great.
Well, that's great. You just got to do it. And that, so many times that a personal, and you hear this all the time. They'll say, I'm starting Monday. I'm having my last weekend here. I'm like, no.
Because that Monday doesn't start, or it just ends up into next week. Yep. Start right now. Yeah. And then just make that small change, and then just keep improving on that. And then you don't know what the future will hold if you just keep that going.
Yeah. You got to admit that a change is needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to get a goal. You got to get a team of people around you. Then you got to do the work. And then once you can reach that goal, you got to move the goal. And I really tell people to tell people what their goal is. Make people look at you squirrely-eyed, because if they look at you squirrely-eyed, like, uh-oh, what'd you just say? You want to do what? And then now it's out there. Now it's out there, because had I kept my goal secret, I wouldn't have had to do it.
Right. You wouldn't have had any accountability to push yourself.
Oh yeah. And that's another thing with my story being so out there. It really just keeps me accountable. It keeps me running. I ran in Indianapolis or Terre Haute, Indiana, is right outside Indianapolis, and every third or fourth person had heard my story. So, I never wanted to stop running, because I was afraid that the next person coming would see me walking and go, oh, he must be tired, man's tired. No, it just kind of keeps you accountable,
Right. No,
when you're doing an Ironman, and, everybody's wanting you to succeed, you want to succeed, because you don't want to let people down,
Yeah.
And,
especially, the people that you're inspiring, they're looking up to you.
And here's the deal.
Yep.
You don't know who you're going to be letting down, because had I not done what I've done, 4,000 people are getting fed, and 100 people got saved. They probably will get saved by somebody else would have stepped up, but I'm just saying, you just never know who you're letting down, because that domino effect, the pieces of the puzzle of your life are getting put together right now. And you don't know which pieces aren't fitting until you correct one and you go, oh, that's an easier fit. And now I see this puzzle piece, and this piece coming together, and this piece. And so it's a progression of life that changes it's kind of like, and I always go back to the movie Back to the Future. But whenever they had changed in the future, and the picture was of Marty was disappearing on the,
Right.
and people are disappearing on the deal, and he was trying to stop it, and then finally he made the right move, and everything came back, and everything was great. And Biff was beat up, and all the stuff, those were all things that it's kind of like your story, the story that you're creating in your life. You just never know what you're going to miss out on, and you never know what you can make happen for somebody else.
Right. No, that's 100% true. And just what your potential is. And, no, I love that. I love that. And Marcus, what are, do you have any future plans coming up, or any events that you want to share with people? That way they can they can keep you accountable even more, right?
Yeah. So bigtolittle.com is my URL. Everything at Big to Little on social media, Team Big to Little on Twitter. I don't really do a lot of Twittering, but mainly Instagram and Facebook is my strong too. It's just the easiest for me. But my next big things that I'll be doing is I'm trying to finish in the 4-hour mark on the Houston Chevron Marathon coming up in January.
Nice.
I may be running the Rock and Roll out of San Antonio at the 1st of December. I don't know quite yet.
I heard that's an amazing run.
Yeah, no, I was, Rock and Roll, has, invited me. I just don't know if I'm going to do it quite yet.
Yeah.
So Texas Ironman is my next, big Ironman. I'm going to be doing the Galveston half again with my son. Then we'll do the Texas full. And then I'm contemplating, Boulder full, just to kind of keep in shape. And then I'm raising money for the Ironman Foundation, and hopefully all that's intact. And I will be doing Kona.
Wow.
So under a fundraiser with them, and so that'll be in Hawaii in October. So that's
cool.
Kind of the tentative schedule. Most of it's pretty solid. Boulder and Kona's solid. Dr. Garth Davis will be doing a Kona with me if everything pans out there, and we're really close on the fundraiser. So we can't announce it quite yet, but it's definitely will be announced probably before Texas Ironman happens, that Dr. Garth Davis and myself will be doing Kona together as not really together. You can't really do an Ironman together, but we'll be running the race at the same time. So that's going to be exciting.
That's cool.
Just to prove to people that it can be done. You can achieve anything that you can think that you want to do.
Absolutely. And Kona will be beautiful too. I'll look forward to seeing those pictures for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Marcus, just this closing question that I ask every guest, but if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it's something that's helped you the most on your wellness journey, but if you just had one piece of advice to give, what would it be?
Just do it. Just do. My kind of slogan for Big to Little is do something new every day. And the first two, words of that is just do. Just do. I mean, that's kind of it. Just do it. The first word is do, and so I just tell everybody just do.
Yep.
You can't just keep saying you're going to do it. You can't keep wishing that someone would do it for you. It's going to hurt. It's going to be the worst. People always say, well, tell me how I could do it. It's the worst thing you can go through, but it's so rewarding after it's done that it's the best thing you can go through.
Absolutely.
People say, well, is it hard? Was it hard? Yes, it's still hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
But it's the best thing.
It's the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. Absolutely. And you just got to do it.
That's awesome. No, I love that. Just take that first step. And I'm extremely inspired by your story, Marcus. And I know that you're going to inspire so many people with your story, and just continue to pave the way. And I'm excited to just keep following you and just watch the amazing work that you're doing. But thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I loved having you.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Thank you so much, and we appreciate you sharing the story, and looking forward to seeing where it goes. And if you guys need anything, y'all can follow me and PM me, whatever you need to do. I will help whoever. I'm an open book. I've got a book, a little small book coming out in the next month or two. So good
Awesome.
things are happening. It's a fun time in my life for sure.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Marcus.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Marcus. He's doing such positive work, and I'm excited for you guys to follow him on social media to keep up with everything that he's doing. You can find the social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website at drkaseyjohnson.com. That's DRKASEY Johnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, be able to read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, their website, all of that. So all of Marcus's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with Marcus, jump on iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I appreciate all of the feedback and support. And just like I spoke about in the intro, also be sure to check out my first children's book of my Healthy Children's Book series called Maddox's Trip to the Chiropractor. Each purchase of the book supports the Unlock Wellness Project, which supplies a wellness bag to a child in need for each book purchase. You can learn more about the book and about the Unlock Wellness Project on my website as well at drkaseyjohnson.com. Click on the Shop tab, then choose the children's book option. You'll be able to read a short description and even watch a short video to learn more. If you purchase the book, be sure to share it on social media using the hashtag UWProject. I'll repost it and give you a shout out on the podcast. But I hope you guys love the book. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope you loved today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in.